Oh, open three. Oh, what a...
They had no Caitlin Clark, no true point guards, and no margin for error. The Indiana Fever should have sputtered. Instead, they turned a pressure night into a clinic in chemistry and will. Before we dig in, subscribe and hit the bell so you get WNBA updates the moment they drop. What follows is not a highlight montage. It is the anatomy of a team that took a bad week, rewired it in real time, and sent a message to the entire league. Chicago walked in believing the window had finally opened. The Fever slammed it shut, and they did it with role changes, trust, and one wing snapping out of them.
I think it just says a lot about who we have as human beings. That was one of the things that we made a priority in the offseason of, who we bring into this organization. Number one, quality human beings, selfless human beings that want to pull for one another, that understand. We have this depth for a reason, and sometimes it creates challenges getting people on the floor. But in situations like this is why you have it. And I'm just, she's right. I mean, as a pro. And as a pro coach, this is one of the most connected groups I've seen.
Mental fog at the exact right moment. Settle in. The details matter here, because each possession tells you why that 22-point win was inevitable long before the buzzer. Adversity rarely arrives with a headline. It shows up in travel lengths and film sessions that feel too long. Phoenix jabbed first. Los Angeles landed the follow. Those two losses were not simple off nights. They exposed timing issues, late help on drives, and spacing that tightened the floor. It would have been easy to blame injuries and wait for reinforcements. Indiana chose a harder route. They owned the miscues on tape, named them out loud, and set two practical goals for the next game. Win the first 3 minutes of each quarter. Touch the paint on the first action, not the third. You can see the shift the moment they returned home. Pointing and talking came before every entry pass. Guards refused to pick up the dribble early. Bigs fought deeper for seals instead of drifting to 18 feet.
I mean, you guys are unfortunately kind of familiar with injury updates this season, but I imagine yesterday's was probably pretty tough. Just what's the reaction been from you guys, the players, the coaches, to losing Sid and Ari?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, just brokenhearted for them. They're two really good people that you hate to see this happen to. They've been an integral part of what we've been doing, and so hate it for them. Unfortunately, it's part of the deal, and we've got to roll with it. And we've got players in that locker room who believe in one another. Players in that locker room who are as competitive as all get out. We've got versatility, and it's going to have to be on full display. So I think now it's about playing to honor them, right, and playing for them.
Even missed shots had a different feel because the defense was set behind the attempt. That posture does not guarantee makes. It does guarantee control, and control under pressure becomes the base for everything that follows. It was the first sign this night would not be about hanging on. It'd be about dictating. The timing could not have been worse. Clark remained out with quad and groin trouble. Then, Phoenix took the steering column. Sydney Coulson's knee failed on a routine cut. Ari McDonald's foot gave out late. In 2 hours, the Fever went from thin at point to empty. It is one thing to replace talent, it is another to replace decision-making. The point guard is the metronome. Without one, possessions scramble and shots come a beat late. No trade help was coming. The deadline had closed. That forced the choice the locker room had to own together. Either slow every trip and shrink the game until it breaks, or spread responsibility and live with a few ugly possessions while the group learns on the fly. They picked the second path. That decision reframed the pressure. Instead of one player being perfect, 5 players needed to be connected. Talk through coverages. Call actions early. Repeat the call once more so the corners hear it. Those habits sound small. In a noisy arena, they are everything. By committee, scares coaches who like neat boxes. It can also overwhelm a scouting report.
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of this group. I think we've shown all season long, like, they're resilient, they're connected, they pull for each other, they enjoy one another, they celebrate one another, and, that stuff alone is good for 10 to 12 points a game. And, for this group, the way that they share the ball, how unselfish they are. I mean, I'm really proud of them. It's not been ideal circumstances all season long, but they've shown the character of who they are. They've been resilient. They've responded to adversity, and they continue to elevate one another. And I couldn't be more proud of this group than I am at this moment.
Stephanie White stripped the playbook to core principles and placed the ball at the elbows where the first pass travels the shortest distance. Aaliyah Boston became a hub who could hand off, hit the back door, or swing to the second side without a pause. Sophie Cunningham took spot possessions to vary the cadence. Kelsey Mitchell, the team's purest scorer, accepted the heaviest lift. She would initiate, feel the help, and toggle between her jumper and the next pass depending on the first shift she saw. Simplicity became a feature. Enter to the elbow. Slice cut from the corner. If the tag comes, skip it. If the tag stays home, hit the big on the dive. Screen the helper, not the on-ball defender. Small rules create big certainty, and certainty lets pace live without a true point guard. Chicago expected a hesitant team looking for training wheels. They got a group that moved like a pendulum, forward and back, side to side, until the defense took a wrong step. On paper, the Sky had it. Fresh legs, glass control with Angel Reese, and pressure at the point of attack. Against the team, missing ball handlers. That plan frayed
means
quickly.
you don't have any healthy point guards, and you're not able to sign anyone for tonight's game. Just for tonight specifically, what is your plan kind of running point?
We'll have to do it by committee, certainly. I mean, we've been utilizing AB to initiate offense throughout the course of the season, so we'll use her, continue to use her. Sophie, at times this season, particularly early, ran some of the point for us as well. So we'll utilize her and Kelsey can initiate offense too. So I think the most important thing is that we aren't going to be able to do every play in our arsenal. We'll have to play a big lineup. We'll have to simplify. But we've got players who are capable of getting us into offense, and we'll utilize them in such a way.
Indiana met heat with organization. When the Sky pressed up, the Fever cut behind it. When the Sky shaded to the strong side, the weak side lifted into space. The ball rarely stuck. It hit the paint early, then kicked to the second side, where closeouts were longer and choices were worse. Tempo also swung the floor. Indiana ran after makes, which is a culture choice. It told Chicago two things. You do not get to rest after a good possession. You do not get to dictate which five play the next one. Transition did not mean reckless. It meant lane discipline, hit-ahead passes that arrived on time, and rim runs that forced the Sky to protect the basket first. From there
Tonight,
Unbelievably proud. I think this is the most resilient team I've ever been a part of, and I say that wholeheartedly. We've had a lot of mishap happen throughout the course of the season. I think throughout the course of it all, we stay resilient, and you guys get to see us at our best when we stay together and be resilient. So shout out to my girls tonight, because I think it took everybody. Everyone played a piece, played a role, and I think that's how we got the dub.
Air three started to look like layups. The crowd felt it and fed it back. And then the building got its spark. Numbers can measure a slump. They cannot capture the noise it creates. 2 for 25 from deep over 2 weeks is a number. The way your hands tighten on the catch is the noise. The extra dip before the shot. The half step of hesitation that lets a great look turn into a contested one. Lexie Hull lived in that noise. Teammates did the most important thing you can do for a shooter. They kept feeding her in rhythm and kept telling her that rhythm would come. After the Phoenix loss, Kelsey Mitchell made it plain. We are counting on who you are, not what last game says. Against Chicago, the first clean catch came early. No flinch, no test dribble. The release was the same motion you see in practice. The net answered. The bench did not celebrate a random make. They reacted to a return. Confidence does not need a speech. It needs a single result to anchor.
Obviously we lost our last two, but I think, that LA one felt good for us because we didn't quit. And then, life happened the other night at the Valley, so we could have looked at it like, oh, woe is me, and we don't have enough players, and we didn't. So shout out to our group for just staying like confident and staying ready because, it's a professional league and we have to be ready and we can't make too many excuses about it because no one's going to hand us anything. So we might as well look at it for what it is and keep showing up.
Belief. You could see Hull's shoulders drop half an inch. You could see her start to relocate faster. That is the moment a shooter leaves the maze. Once the first one fell, everything softened. Hull's feet were quicker to the next spot. She used a tight curl to create daylight, then a flare to stretch the weak side. On the next trip, she refused a screen when a defender cheated over the top and slid to the corner where the shortest three lives. The ball kept finding her because she kept putting herself in the right windows. 4 for 6 from deep is accuracy, plus 22 is gravity. When she played, the geometry bent toward Indiana. That gravity stretched help. It pulled a wing a half step wider, which opened a pocket for Boston on the roll. It kept the corner honest, which gave Mitchell a safer runway to probe. It punished overhelp the way good spacing always does. The last make, a late clock step-in 3, felt like punctuation more than relief. The reaction said it all. Smiles, signals, and a jawed back on defense that looked lighter because a weight had lifted. The slump did not end by accident. It ended because the work held, and the room never backed away from her value. Scorers do not become floor generals by wishing. They do it by changing what they look for first. Early on, you could see the tug. A window opened for her pull-up, and every cell said take it. Then the reads began to stack. Probe to the nail to move the helper. Pocket pass to Boston before the help can recover. 2-on-1 in space, sell the layup, and slide it to Cunningham for a clean finish. Those plays flipped the rhythm. Now Chicago had to honor 2 versions of Mitchell on every trip. 8 assists to 1 turnover tells part of it. The rest is pace control. She did not pound the ball to prove she was the point. She shortened the dribble, kept her eyes up, and used the thread of her jumper to protect passing lanes.
What was kind of the last month like? How do you stay out of your head or listen to the right people? What is that balance like? As you know what you need to do. Take us kind of what's that like?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's focusing on doing the right thing, taking the right shots, being in the right place, focusing less on the outcome of things. Missed shots happen. It's going to happen in everyone's career.
Man.
And to just really focus on getting the next good one. I think that's the whole mindset, and we know we have confidence in every single person and every shot that they take. So, just keep shooting.
And then Lexie, what was it like to finally break out of that slump, and especially on a night when
it's all there
when they needed you to?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. It feels good to see the ball go through the net. But I think, every game, regardless, you're making shots, you're not, it feels really, really good to have your teammates behind you. And I definitely feel that every day. And it's fun. It was fun today to get to celebrate some of those.
When the sky sat on the pass, she punished with a sidestep 3. When they shaded to the jumper, she turned the corner and kissed it off the glass before the shot blocker could arrive. Leadership is not a speech. It is a possession-by-possession willingness to do the correct thing, even when the old habit calls louder. Mitchell chose correct. Aaliyah Boston is the metronome. Great screens do not show up on highlight reels, but they put defenders on your shoulder and open angles for everything else. Boston's seals were early and deep. Her elbow touches were decisive. Catch, read, deliver. If the cutter was covered, she swung it on time so the next action arrived before the defense reset. That decisiveness bled into the group. It told every shooter that the ball will not stick and every driver that the lane will be there on time. Sophie Cunningham's work filled the gaps you only notice when they're empty. Sprint lanes that widen the floor. Honest spacing that keeps help a step longer than it wants to stay. Drives that arrive under control and end with 2 points instead of a charge. When the offense is by committee, players like Cunningham are the glue that lets it feel like a single idea. Throw in the bigger lineup, and Chicago had to pick its poison. Switch and invite slips. Stay home and concede rhythm jumpers. Either way, Indiana kept the floor stretched and the clock in its pocket. You cannot fake connection when roles bend. White's off-season filter was clear. Bring in people who pull for one another when it's not their moment. That shows up on nights like this. Veterans met Hull's slump with presence, not eye rolls. Starters swallowed new assignments without negotiating touches. The bench spent as much energy on high fives and pull-ups from the floor as it did on celebrations after makes. Those habits sound soft. They add real points. A team that believes the next right play will be rewarded runs harder, talks louder, and stays poised when the whistle feels one-sided. That culture is why
Kelsey obviously had to play out of position tonight. She had a season-high 8 assists. Just how did you see her embrace having to do that, embrace having to do like what the team needed tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that's who she is. She just wants to play. And, I felt like we did a good job of still getting her the ball in positions that she had been getting the ball. We just tried to do it, a little bit more often and try to get it a little bit more in flow. And she let the game come to her. Her decision making has been really good. She had those 8 assists and only 1 turnover. Her shot making was really good, as it always is, and we know that she's going to create a lot of gravity because of what she does on the offensive end. And she did a really good job of picking her moments and finding her teammates when she needed to. She is her own worst critic. She's a perfectionist. She wants everything to go right all the time, and it was nice to see the ball go through the net for her and for her to play with such confidence. I mean, for us, we believe that every time she shoots it, it's going to go in. But for her to finally feel that and see that and play with so much confidence, it's big for us. We need her. She always does the little things that don't show up on the stat sheet, but when she knocks down shots, we're a different team.
Committee plan worked. The trust was banked before the injuries hit. With Clark out, they did not pretend nothing had changed. They decided the change was a chance to show what they had built underneath. That mindset is what carries into the months that decide seasons. Close games tighten. Scouting gets sharper. Fatigue is real. The teams that advance are the ones that do not have to become someone new when the lights get hot. Indiana looked like itself. 92-70 is the headline. The subtext is how quickly it felt out of reach. Once Hull's makes forced longer closeouts and Mitchell's reads put Chicago in rotation, the sky bled choices. Pack the paint and surrender clean threes. Stay home on shooters and let Boston own the middle. Send pressure at the point of attack and watch Indiana turn it into numbers with quick outlets and wide lanes. 4 straight over the same opponent says something about matchups. It also says something about identity. The Fever did not ride a single hot hand. They layered advantages until the game dipped, and then they kept adding weight. That is what a statement looks like without a poster dunk. It lives in the quiet math of shot quality and turnover avoidance. It lives in second-side threes that feel like layups because the pass arrived exactly where the shooter likes it. It lives in deflections that never become steals, but ruin a possession's rhythm. Stack enough of those, and 22 points happens without a knockout blow. It's a clinic, not a sprint. Clark's presence will change the geometry on contact. Defenses cheat a step toward her before the ball leaves the ref's hand. That single step is where playoff games are decided. Now imagine that gravity.
Lexie, that final 3-pointer kind of felt like the perfect end of that night. Just if you could just talk to me about the celebration, how much of a relief that was for you, just kind of to punctuate it like that.
I mean, it's fun. The crowd was behind us today. It's fun to walk out of the gym on a high note and on a make. And I saw the time going down, so I was trying to pull out my inner Kelsey Mitchell.
Crazy that I'm like, when the song comes on, just like it's all there. Like, you just gotta believe it, and I think Lexie knows that we believe in her. Our last game in Phoenix, I think we all were just a bit emotional about everything, and I think me and Lexie had an emotional moment because no one shot well, and I want her to know that we gonna count on her for what she brings to the table every night, and I'm gonna always stand by my teammates, so you never have to worry about that.
Yeah, Kelsey, you obviously had to play out of position tonight, kind of fill in that point. You had a season-high 8 assists. Just how did you try to embrace that for this game and kind of?
Oh man, I haven't played point guard. I was telling the girls I haven't played point guard maybe since college, and so that was different. But I think it brings out the vulnerable side of me, the leadership in which I need to keep getting better at and keep growing at. I think being in this PG position kind of helps with that. And I think I believe in my team. So seeing my assists, go up is just because of these girls. We have an unbelievable chemistry when it comes to, seeing and reading each other. So I think they made me look good tonight.
Layered over this version of the Fever. Hull playing free, setting her feet without thinking. Mitchell toggling between sniper and maestro without losing tempo. Boston piloting from the elbows with cutters who trust the window will be there. Cunningham racing lanes that defenders cannot abandon because the shooters behind her are alive. Options breed counters. Counters breed calm. Calm under pressure is the separator when scouting erases your first action. Indiana no longer looks like a team waiting for one star to carry them. They look like a group that can begin actions on either side, move through progressions without resetting, and trust the open shot even if it belongs to the third option. That is the shape of a team built for series, not just nights. Rewind the film and freeze the small stuff. Hull's first make that let the air back into her chest. Mitchell's 2-on-1 feed that looked like she had owned the point for years. Boston catching at the nail and rifling a pass to a cutter without a bounce. Cunningham outrunning a gamble for a clean layup that told Chicago you will pay for every mistake. The bench rising in unison after a 50-50 ball became a tie-up instead of a foul. Those are not highlights for social clips. They are deposits in a bank the team will need in August. Down 5 with 3 minutes left in a future game, you do not invent poise on the spot. You withdraw it from nights like this. You remember you solved harder problems together when the roster was thinner and the margin was smaller. That memory frees the next shot, calms the next decision, and hardens the belief that the right play will reward itself. That's how regular season identity becomes playoff reality. Nights like this are earned. They come from a locker room that refuses to splinter, a staff that trims noise, and players who lean into the uncomfortable parts of growth. Lexie Hull reclaimed her rhythm and gave Indiana a live wire on the wing. Kelsey Mitchell expanded her game and proved leadership is a possession-by-possession craft. Aaliyah Boston and Sophie Cunningham steadied the course so the edges could shine. The result was not just a win. It was a footprint for how this team can win again when the stakes rise. If you want more breakdowns like this, plus fast WNBA updates, subscribe now and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter. Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with another W fan, and keep it locked. The Fever are building something real, and the best part is what comes next.